All right, welcome to our deep dive today. Have you ever just imagined you've been dropped into a tech project
Oh, yeah.
and everything is just on fire?
Yeah.
But not like metaphorically, like
Yeah.
literally drowning in support tickets
Oh, wow.
and escalations.
Yeah, I can see it.
Well, that's what we are going to unpack today.
I'm excited.
So, like, think about it. A team that is just on the verge of burnout.
Yeah.
They're staring down this mountain of technical debt.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
And somehow they're supposed to deliver this, like, revolutionary platform.
Right?
So you're probably thinking Mission Impossible,
Oh,
right?
sure.
But hold on.
Okay.
This team, they didn't just survive. They thrived.
Yeah.
They went from complete chaos
Wow.
to building a product so successful
I'm intrigued.
that it could rival the best in the market.
All right, let's hear it.
And we have an expert here to help us understand how they did it.
That's me. Yeah. And what's so fascinating about this is that
Yeah.
it wasn't just luck. It
Right.
was a very deliberate transformation.
Yeah.
Driven by data.
Yeah.
And a really deep understanding of the challenges they had.
Absolutely. Our source for this deep dive is a LinkedIn article
Cool.
by the technical lead who led this turnaround.
All right.
And he really lays out like the nitty-gritty details of their journey.
I like the nitty-gritty.
So let's paint a picture of where they started.
Okay.
Imagine 30 teams, each in its own silo.
Okay.
And there's this like constant finger pointing between operations and development.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And then to top it off,
Okay.
they're trying to manage this complex Kubernetes ecosystem.
Oh, yeah.
And Kubernetes is basically a system for managing lots of applications at scale.
Right?
But in this case, it was more of a headache than a help.
Oh, man. That's rough.
Yeah.
That's a classic case of like the
Exactly.
complexities of modern tech environments. You
Oh,
have
right.
all these amazing tools, but without the right approach,
Yeah.
they can become part of the problem.
Absolutely.
And in this case, it wasn't just the technology.
Yeah.
They also had no product owner,
Oh, wow.
no coach,
Wakes.
just a huge pile of mounting technical debt
Yeah.
and a ticket system that's just overflowing with complaints. A
Uh.
recipe for disaster.
Have you ever experienced anything like this?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That feeling of just being overwhelmed by technical debt?
Definitely.
Or working in these silos where communication just breaks down?
All the time.
This team was in the thick of it.
Wow.
And so this technical lead, instead of jumping into these like quick fixes,
Yeah.
he did something that I think was really crucial.
Okay.
He paused
Hmm.
and he did like a deep assessment.
Smart.
He wanted to understand the dysfunction at every single level,
I like it.
the organization as a whole,
Okay.
the individual teams,
Yeah.
and even how it was impacting each person on those teams.
Wow. It's like a doctor, right?
Yeah,
Diagnosing an illness.
right.
You have to understand the root cause
Yeah.
before you can treat the symptoms.
Absolutely. And what do they find?
Well, they found some pretty revealing things.
Yeah.
Team members were just constantly bombarded by distractions,
Oh, yeah.
messages, interruptions, you name it.
Yeah.
It got so bad that they only had
Wow.
a few hours of focused work time
Oh, my goodness.
each day.
Wow, I can only imagine
Yeah.
how frustrating that must have been.
Oh, yeah.
No wonder they were struggling.
Totally.
So what was the first step to get things back on track?
Well, the tech lead did something pretty bold.
Okay.
He basically became a human shield. He absorbed all the escalations and interruptions himself.
Wow.
Oh,
Wow.
that's interesting.
Redirecting them away from the team.
So he was like protecting them almost?
Yeah, it was about creating space for the team
Yeah.
to just breathe,
Yeah.
to focus on clearing that backlog
Okay.
and actually start getting work done.
That's a really interesting approach. I like that. It's like
Yeah.
he was giving them permission
Right.
to take a step back
Yeah.
from the chaos. Right.
And actually start working on the solutions.
Yeah.
Instead of just constantly reacting to problems.
Exactly. And by creating that space,
Yeah.
something really interesting started to happen.
Okay.
The team shifted from this culture of firefighting
Yeah.
to a culture of collaboration and ownership.
That's a big shift.
Yeah, they started implementing practices like
Yeah.
pair programming,
Right.
where two developers work together on the same code.
Right.
They were writing daily journals to reflect on their work, and they created these immediate feedback loops
Oh.
to catch problems early.
So they started working together more closely and communicating more effectively.
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds like they were building a more like generative culture.
That's the perfect term for it.
Yeah.
A generative culture is all about psychological safety,
Okay.
a shared vision,
Right.
and a focus on continuous learning.
I love that.
It's an environment where people feel comfortable sharing their ideas, taking risks, learning from their mistakes.
Absolutely. I can see how that kind of culture would be so essential for tackling complex technical challenges.
Totally.
If you don't feel safe to speak up or try new things, it's hard to innovate and make progress, right?
Absolutely.
And that shift in culture, it sounds like it was a real turning point for this team.
It was.
Yeah.
It laid the foundation for everything else they accomplished.
I love it.
But they didn't stop there.
Okay.
They had another big realization.
Right.
They weren't just managing infrastructure.
Yeah.
They were building a product.
Ooh, now this is where it gets interesting.
Yeah. They were building a product for developers, by developers.
Right.
And that's when they brought in a dedicated product owner.
Love it.
To lead the charge.
It was a big shift.
It was a pivotal shift.
Yeah.
They started thinking about their platform from a user's perspective. And in this case, their users were other developers within the organization.
Makes sense.
By focusing on building something that developers would love.
Yeah.
They tapped into a powerful source of motivation and alignment.
Makes total sense when you have a clear understanding of who you are building for what their needs are.
Yeah.
It just makes the work more meaningful. Right.
Exactly.
More focused.
And that's where the story gets even more exciting.
I am all ears.
They weren't content with just making incremental improvements.
Right.
They set out to build a next-generation internal developer platform.
All right. What did they come up with?
An IDP.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would just blow everyone's socks off.
That's awesome.
So they started by looking at all the pain points that the developers were experiencing, the things that were slowing them down, frustrating them.
Yeah.
And then they set out to solve those problems in a really innovative way.
Yeah.
So they built features like golden paths.
What are those?
So think of those as like predefined workflows. For common tasks.
Okay.
Making it super easy for developers to get things done.
I like that.
They also added observability tools.
Cool.
So developers could easily monitor and troubleshoot their applications. And they went all in on self-healing infrastructure.
Oh, wow.
Basically, the system could fix itself if things went wrong.
I love that.
Which meant fewer late-night calls for the team.
I bet.
Right.
That's impressive. It sounds like they were thinking ahead.
Yeah.
And really anticipating the needs of their users.
They were.
But how did they know if all this effort was actually making a difference?
That's a great question.
Right.
Well, they didn't just rely on gut feeling. They were data-driven from the start. They tracked key metrics like the number of support tickets, deployment frequency, time to resolution.
Right.
And the results were pretty spectacular. They were able to move to a 204/7 SRE posture.
Oh, wow.
Meaning they were so confident in their systems that they could handle any issues, even outside of normal business hours.
So they went from being constantly on call to having a system that could practically run itself.
Pretty much.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Right.
And over an entire year,
wow,
they were only woken up once.
For an outage.
For an outage.
That's incredible.
Well, pretty remarkable.
It sounds like they completely transformed their organization, both technically
for sure
and culturally.
Absolutely.
But I'm sure it wasn't all smooth sailing, right?
No, there were definitely challenges along the way.
What were some of the challenges they faced?
Yeah.
And how did they overcome them?
We'll have to find that out next time.
We'll dig into that and more
in
the next part of our deep dive.
Stay tuned.
So stay tuned.
Welcome back to our deep dive. So we left off with the team finally catching their breath right.
Yeah.
After clearing that mountain of technical debt.
Right.
And they started implementing those cultural changes.
Right. They created that space for focus.
Right, exactly.
Started fostering a more generative culture.
Exactly.
And brought in a dedicated product owner.
Yeah.
To guide their efforts.
Yeah. But this was just the beginning.
Okay.
They were ready to level up.
All right. What's left?
And that's where things got really interesting.
Okay.
The article mentions this thing called the Software Craftsmanship Dojo.
Okay, a dojo. What is that?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Think of it like an intensive training program for developers.
Oh, interesting.
They knew they needed to sharpen their technical skills to really become this high-performing team.
Okay, so it was
all about taking their capabilities to the next level.
Yeah.
And moving away from this purely operational mindset to becoming a full-fledged site reliability engineering unit.
So they were aiming for SRE.
Yes.
That's a pretty big deal in the tech world.
It is a big deal.
Yeah. What kind of changes did they make to achieve that?
Well, they started by embracing a more robust approach to managing their infrastructure.
Right.
So instead of relying on these basic scripts and tools like TerraGrunt, they switched to using Python.
Oh, okay.
A much more versatile programming language.
Yeah.
And a tool called Pulumi. For infrastructure as code.
Right, IAC.
Yeah, IAC, I've heard of that.
Yeah, so imagine being able to write code that automatically sets up and configures your servers and your networks.
Wow.
Instead of doing it all manually.
Yeah, that would be a game changer.
That's the power of IAC.
And Pulumi helped them do it in a more efficient and reliable way.
That's great.
But they didn't stop there.
Okay.
They also started using something called test-driven development.
Okay, I've heard of that too.
Yeah, where you write automated tests for your code before you even...
Okay, so you're testing as you go.
Exactly.
Okay.
This helped them catch errors early on.
Okay, so less surprises.
Exactly, and ensure that any changes they made to their infrastructure wouldn't break things unexpectedly.
So it's like a safety net.
It is a safety net.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's fascinating, it sounds like. They were taking this really systematic and disciplined approach to improving their technical practices.
Yeah.
And did it have a positive impact on the team?
I would think so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The team's skills and confidence just grew exponentially.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
Not only were they building a more robust and reliable platform, but they were also attracting top talent.
Nice, so it was...
The article mentions that they even brought in an AWS SRE expert.
Right.
Someone with a ton of experience in building and managing cloud infrastructure.
That's awesome. So their success was attracting more success.
Exactly.
That's a great sign.
It is a great sign.
It seems like this transformation was like creating a virtuous cycle.
Exactly. And remember how they had reframed their platform as product?
Yes.
They really took that to heart.
Yep.
And they started using something called user story mapping.
User story mapping. I've heard of that.
You have.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a way to...
Yeah, isn't that a way to, like, visualize...
It is.
And prioritize the features that you want to build?
Exactly. It's about putting yourself in the shoes of your users, understanding what they need to achieve their goals.
I like that.
By doing this, they were able to build a platform that people actually love to use, which is key.
Yeah, for sure.
For any successful product.
Right, absolutely.
But they didn't just map out the user stories and call it a day.
Right.
They went even further.
Okay.
And they brought in a coach.
Oh, wow.
To help their product owner develop their lean UX product management skills.
Okay, so they're really committed to doing this right.
They were.
What did this coaching involve?
It was all about taking a lean approach to UX design.
Okay.
So they conducted user interviews to gather feedback.
Cool.
They refined their user story map based on that feedback.
Right.
And they even did A/B testing.
A/B test.
Using paper prototypes to get early validation of their ideas.
So A/B testing, that's where you show like different versions of a design to different users.
Different groups of users.
And see which one performs better.
Yes.
That's a great idea.
So they were basically testing their assumptions and making data-driven decisions every step of the way.
That's really smart. It sounds like they were avoiding a lot of wasted effort.
They were.
By constantly checking in with their users.
Right.
Yeah.
And making sure they were on the right track.
Yeah, totally.
And all this effort led to the creation of their next generation internal developer platform.
Their IDP.
Their IDP.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this wasn't
just a minor upgrade. They completely reimagined their platform from the ground up.
Right. So what did this IDP look like? What kind of features did it have?
Well, they packed it with everything developers could dream of.
Okay.
So remember those golden paths we talked about?
Yeah.
Those were a big part of the IDP.
Okay.
They also included observability tools.
Okay.
So developers could see what was happening with their applications in real time.
Real time, cool.
Security features like pen testing to make sure their code was secure.
Right.
Load testing to make sure the platform could handle high traffic.
That's important.
And continuous deployment.
Okay.
With CI/CD pipelines.
CI/CD, all right.
So that meant any changes that developers made to their code could be automatically tested, packaged, and deployed to the platform.
Wow.
Making the whole development process much faster and more efficient.
That's great. So much automation.
So much automation.
Yeah.
They also included feature toggles. So they could easily turn features on and off without having to redeploy the entire platform.
Right.
They built an API gateway.
Which is basically a central point of access for all the different services on the platform.
Makes sense.
And they created a comprehensive dictionary and discovery portal.
Oh, wow. So developers can easily find what they need.
So developers can easily find and use the services they need.
Yeah, okay.
And of course, it all ran on that self-healing Kubernetes infrastructure we talked about earlier.
Right, wow. They really thought of everything.
They did.
But launching a platform this big must have been a challenge, right?
It was. They were very careful about the rollout.
Right.
They used this principle called dark release.
Dark release.
Which meant gradually introducing the platform to select teams first.
So like a beta test almost.
Yeah, it allowed them to gather feedback, identify any issues, and fine-tune the platform before making it available to everyone.
That's a smart move. It's like a soft launch.
It is a soft launch.
Make sure everything's working smoothly. Before going big.
Before going big. And once those early teams saw how great the IDP was, other operations teams were eager to get on board.
Yeah. So their success was contagious.
It was.
Yeah, people were seeing the benefits and they wanted to be a part of it.
Exactly.
That's great.
Yeah, it's a great example of how building something truly exceptional can create its own momentum.
Love it.
But they didn't just focus on the technology. They knew that to achieve lasting success, they needed to align the entire organization around a shared vision and goals.
Right. And that's where
OKRs come in.
OKRs.
Yes.
Objectives and key results.
Objectives and key results.
Yeah. I've heard a lot about those.
You have?
Yeah, isn't that a way to... It's like set ambitious goals and track progress.
That's the essence of it.
Okay.
OKRs provide a framework for setting clear objectives and defining measurable results.
Okay.
So everyone knows what they're working towards and how they're contributing to the overall success of the organization.
Yeah, but implementing OKRs effectively. It's more than just setting goals.
It is more than just setting goals.
It requires a shift in leadership mindset.
It does.
So how did they approach that aspect of the transformation?
Invested in leadership coaching. To help their managers and team leaders embrace this new way of working.
Right, because remember they
were transitioning from a culture of firefighting to a culture of proactive planning and continuous improvement.
Right, and that's a big change.
It was a big shift.
Yeah.
And they needed to equip their leaders with the skills and tools to navigate that change effectively.
That makes total sense. It sounds like they were really taking a holistic approach.
They were to transformation. Addressing not just the technical aspects, but also the cultural and leadership dimensions.
Totally.
And all of this was driven by a single goal to build a truly exceptional IDP that developers would love.
Yeah, and their success in achieving that goal is it's a testament to their commitment.
It is.
Their ingenuity and their unwavering focus on delivering value to their users. But the story doesn't end there.
It doesn't.
In the final part of our deep dive, we're going to explore the lasting impact of this transformation. The lessons we can learn from their journey.
Yeah, absolutely.
And how we can apply these insights to our own work and our organizations.
Exactly.
So stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive.
A final part.
Into this incredible tech team transformation. From chaos to this game-changing platform. And their journey is just packed with insight.
It's packed with insights.
But what are like the key takeaways? What can we learn from their success?
I think one of the biggest lessons is the power of data-driven decisions.
Data-driven decisions.
They didn't just guess at solutions. They very meticulously gathered data at every level.
At every level, okay.
Organizational, team.
Even
individual.
Wow.
It was like they were detectives, analyzing clues to find the root causes of their problems.
They weren't just throwing solutions at the wall, hoping something would stick.
No, not at all.
They were using the data to make informed choices about where to focus their efforts.
And that data gave them the insights to prioritize what mattered most.
What mattered most.
Remember how they discovered that team members only had a few hours of focused work time each day?
Right.
That was a data point.
Yeah, it was a real eye-opener.
It was.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
It really highlighted that hidden cost of constant interruption, distractions.
And that leads to another crucial lesson.
Okay.
The importance of a generative culture.
A generative culture.
Remember how they shifted from that culture of firefighting to one of collaboration, shared ownership?
That wasn't just about feeling good.
No.
It was about creating an environment where innovation could thrive.
Exactly.
A generative culture sounds ideal.
It does.
But isn't that hard to maintain?
Well,
especially when, deadlines are looming.
It takes effort.
Yeah.
But the payoff is huge when people feel safe to take risks, share ideas, learn from mistakes.
Yeah.
That's when the magic happens.
It's like that saying, fail fast, fail often.
Right.
But in a supportive environment
exactly.
where those failures become learning opportunities.
Exactly.
And let's not forget
the
power of product thinking.
Right.
They went from managing infrastructure to building a product that developers loved.
They did.
And that change in perspective.
It was a big one.
Was game-changing.
It was.
It's amazing how, a simple shift in mindset can have such a profound impact.
Totally.
By focusing on the needs of their users.
Right.
They created something truly valuable.
Their story is a testament to that.
It really is.
But it wasn't just about implementing frameworks or methodologies.
Right.
There was this human element
to
their success that can't be overlooked.
Totally. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
The leadership in this story.
Yes.
They played a vital role.
They did.
They shielded the team.
Yeah.
Provided coaching.
Right.
Celebrated successes.
Leadership sets the tone.
Sets the tone.
And in this case, they created an environment where people felt supported and empowered to do their best work.
Absolutely. So if we had to sum up the key ingredients for their success, what would they be?
I would say data-driven decision-making.
Yeah.
A generative culture.
Right.
Strong leadership.
Yeah.
And a product-centric approach.
Yeah.
Those were the pillars of their transformation.
I love that. And what's the most important takeaway for our listener?
I think the most important takeaway is that transformative change is possible.
It is possible.
It doesn't happen overnight.
Right.
And it requires continuous learning and improvement. But with the right approach, you can achieve remarkable results.
Remarkable results. This team story is so inspiring.
It is.
They weren't content with just fixing problems.
No.
They reimagined what was possible.
Yeah.
It's like a reminder that we all have the power.
We do.
To create positive change.
Yeah.
In our work.
Right.
And our organizations.
Absolutely.
So if you're feeling stuck in a cycle of firefighting.
I've been there.
Remember this deep dive.
Remember it.
Embrace the challenge.
Yeah.
Experiment.
Yeah.
Experiment.
Learn.
Experiment. Never stop.
Yeah.
Striving for excellence.
Never stop.
Thanks for joining us.
It's been great.
On this deep dive into a remarkable transformation.
It was remarkable.
We hope you found it.
I did.
Insightful and inspiring.
For sure.
Until next time.
See you then.
Thanks for listening, and please remember to subscribe to The Forge of Unicorns to stay up to date with our latest episodes.